Chair, whether you actually owned this report. Because if you commission PwC and you pay them 32 million to help you make sense of your HR issues, and then the first thing they do is capture you as a ghost worker, surely.
I wanted to make this clear, Chairman. I wanted to make this very clear because it might look laughing, but when we leave the Senate, our people back in Homabay take these things very seriously. This is a list of 1,370 individuals without staff files, not ghost, without staff files in the county registry. So, Chairman, it is important to be very clear on these issues because the Senate raises these questions, calls them ghost workers, the media picks them as ghost workers, and then we have to respond to them. But now when we have to respond to them, nobody will understand that these were 1,300 that did not have staff files.
I think that's a fair one. Let's go to the 1,327 ghost workers.
But let me clear that, Chair. Let me clear that for the governor, so that we also not want to appear like we are setting up the governor with the people. Yeah. It is true that the Appendix 4 captures a list of 1,370 individuals who have not provided staff files. But the question remains, Governor, that I have paid PwC 32 million shillings to give me a report that will help me make sense of a messed up HR system in my office. And the kind of report that they give me is that the number one person who does not have a staff file in the county government of Homabay is a governor. And that's why I was very, very keen when I asked you whether you really owned this report, or you rejected it, or renegotiated even the amount that will be paid for that.
Okay, I think you've clarified it. CS, you are to talk to the 1,327 ghost workers.
Thank you, Chair. Very fast, because a lot of it has been said. I think the 1327 is actually not what is called ghost workers from our assessment, because there are several categories that we are capturing, like people without files, people with what, and you can find names are repeated in those. You can find somebody who is doesn't have a file, he didn't report, but in all those categories, their names were picked. So you can find a name picked in or at least sometimes 3 categories, 2 categories, or in 4 categories. But then when they're putting it together, then they put it, because they are just adding up, they're adding what is there and what is there, and then it came up with that number. But when we now went down to do our own verification, we realized that these names were repeated. And that's why we didn't say that those are ghost workers. Actually, those are not ghost workers.
Chair, can you stop the county secretary, because he's now working into a landmine? Because the more he talks, the more everything gets messed up. Therefore, 32 million governor that was contracted to PwC, there was no value. Because even your county public service board sat and wrote you a letter on what should be done. In this report, the one that you are provided, either you are saying the PricewaterhouseCoopers report was a draft. Because if you are hiring to make a sense of the 55% that you are spending on what you are putting now, 7,000 plus workers, then it is getting more messed up than in the beginning. Because the chairman of County Public Service Board has provided once the implementation status of PwC. The governor has gone on record and said, when we got this report, we had to contest to amend, to do a few years there, massages a few years to be politically correct. So my question should be, Governor, in this 32 million, in my own opinion, the people of Homabay did not get value. You did not come out to tell us whether the public service of Homabay of 7,000 plus who work in your county government, whether there was value that was given. And that is why, Chair, I want to go back to my first question. The justification of the governor of using PricewaterhouseCoopers over Public Service Commission. Yet there is what we call intergovernmental relationships that they can partner, because even if they disagree, the spending of the money would not have been at least would have been under. But on this 32 million, Chair, I think, to me, looking at the chairperson of County Public Service Board and the minutes that the County Public Service Board said, Governor, we are getting more and more confused, and we do not see the value of 32 million in this PricewaterhouseCoopers engagement that you did, even including the one I had pointed out on the administrative action on other matters.
Okay, let me, for purposes of time, there is a report by PwC, which we are interacting with for the first time, because as at March, it was not ready. And that is why we gave generic recommendations of administrative action. Now the Senate is seized of the report. We have it. There is also a report by the Auditor General on a payroll audit for Homabay County, which I think has been tabled. It has been tabled in Parliament.
Yes, Chair, it was tabled.
We need to look at these two reports, the payroll audit report, the PwC audit report, the report that we are considering now, and as someone who comes from Homabay, spending 52% on compensation of employees it's a serious problem, and it is a legacy problem. I think Governor is dealing with an inherited problem that has festered over the years. Whether 32 million was value for money, in my view, I think it tells us something about the rotten state of human resources in that county. It might not be accurate, but it can stimulate some debate that can help us to find a solution. You see, when you're at 55, Clerk, can you give us the comparative analysis of neighboring counties? I think a county like Siaya, Migori, Kisumu, Kericho, Busia, counties with fairly similar demographics.
Yes, Chair. Migori is at 32%.
32?
Siaya, 35. Kisumu, 44. Busia, 35. Kericho, 47.
32 you said was Migori?
32 is Migori.
Siaya?
35.
35.
Kisumu, 44.
Busia?
Busia, 35.
Kericho at
47.
47. And Homabay at 55. They are very tough decisions you have to make, Governor. Otherwise, Homabay is going to be an employment bureau. I know we have talked of the legacy of municipalities, but these other counties that we have cited may also tell a similar story. They have the fiscal space to carry out development. They have got the fiscal space to pay pending bills because they've been able to tame their employee costs. Honorable members, this matter is so significant that I don't feel like we'll do justice to it discussing it at 4 p.m. And I want to propose, as I'd indicated earlier, that this could be an issue of inquiry where we can invite the governor when she's better prepared with an implementation plan and when she's better prepared with responses to the Auditor General's payroll report. Can we take that as our resolution? Because the more you go into this report, the more you stumble onto things. I mean, I've looked at the list of ghost workers. I see Professor Richard Otieno Muga listed as a ghost worker there in that report. So the more you get into the details, the more you know it gets messy. So let's organize a forum to discuss 55% of Homabay's expenditure.
Yeah.
Chair,
Vice Chair.
Yeah, also what needs to be done in Homabay, if it was not done as part of TR for PwC, there is need to do staff rationalization so that we can be able to establish if all the employees who are there are supposed to be or are required to work in the areas that they are working. Because sometimes we could just have staff who are not doing anything.
Yes, members, is there any variation to that recommendation? Because if you agree with me, then we can proceed to the next.
an important addition, Chair. Because there's PwC, which is a recipient of public funds, and they were contracted to do a job. According to them, they did a job. According to the consumer of the job that they were given to do, Professor Okoth says that the document that they got was all mixed up, of all these things. This PwC should also maybe shed some light to this committee on what exactly is it that they did in Homabay County. That would be my submission.
And Chair, in addition to this, we should also include the entire board of County Public Service Board. I hope your County Public Service Board is functional, because they have minuted the response to the implementation of PwC report. I yield.
Okay. Now, again, there's an issue of there are two projects in Homabay which have received a lot of space in this report. Under construction of buildings, you have the Kigoto milling plant. It has issues that are very difficult to verify while sitting in Nairobi. I want to recommend that in October, when we do our county visit, we would also visit Kigoto milling plant from a value for money perspective. Under construction of buildings, there are about 4 paragraphs, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 paragraphs relating to small works at Kigoto. And you see, it's very difficult to sit here in Nairobi and say that the water tank and water pump has been installed without physical verification. Can we defer all these issues around Kigoto to the county visit? We could look at the county headquarter issue, but also we could visit. I think it would also be good for us to visit. We visit it and deal with it while on the ground. Then there's a Lakefront Access Road, Phase 1 and 2. Our recommendation was for DCI to carry out investigation, but we felt that this ought to be an EACC matter. And so we are going to amend our recommendation from DCI to EACC to deal with the matter. And EACC, you could add it to your matrix of cases.
Well noted, Chair.
Perhaps the other big thing that we needed to perhaps pronounce ourselves on is unsupported payments on legal expense. Now, on unsupported payments on legal expense, in our earlier brief, there was a risk that the Auditor General did not bring out clearly. So there is an issue that has been brought up by the Auditor General on how private firms were contracted, but there's a bigger risk of decretal sums and court orders that amount to almost 147, was it 147 million?
117 million, Chair.
117 million that have not been settled, and in your own admission, you have said they're attracting 12% interest per annum. Now, the question was, why would you even make that admission? That there are orders against the county, you haven't paid, you know that they are earning interest. It's not like you're making an investment in an infrastructure bond. It's a cost that is being underwritten by the people. In fact, when we worked out the interest on the awards against the county, when we worked out the average interest for 2 years, it was exactly the amount of money you're collecting from markets, 47 million. So I want to bring your attention to the notes to your financial statements, where you have the contingent liability register. Annex 5, the contingent liabilities register. I think that can provide an entry point into the issues of legal fees. Does Governor has a copy? So there are 300 and, how many cases, Auditor General? 350. Now, shouldn't we have had a disclosure of the entire list of cases as contingent liabilities? OAG, what is the requirement?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. As by requirement of the PFMA Act, all contingency liabilities is now a requirement to be disclosed. And especially the main part is the financial implications that they have. So there is part of the contingency liability that's being required as disclosure. And also if maybe the court has maybe awarded, as you said, then the amount should be put as part of the payables now because it's supposed to be paid. So there is a disclosure in terms of contingency for the ongoing cases where the institution can also make probability of whether you lose or you can win the case need to be disclosed.
So on the positive side, I think when the county appeared before us last time, there was no disclosure of contingent liabilities. However, are these contingent liabilities or these are active orders? Because where a decision has been made, it is no longer contingent liability. Contingent liability is litigation in progress. And therefore the disclosure should have been on the 350 active cases. So, Governor, could you help us understand these 31 cases listed here? Have you appealed or orders have been issued but you just said you can't pay, won't pay?
Chairman, let me ask the attorney to give the details of that.
Please proceed. I think a quick summation of the 31 was
117 million, Chair.
117 million.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, we have given a comprehensive documentation on our status on legal matters. The one that you're referring to appears as Appendix 19H. On the bundle there, it will appear at page 157 and runs all the way to page 162. Chair, these are actually cases that have been determined and judgments have been issued. If you look at the bulk of the cases, not actually the bulk, if you look at the cases, these are cases that were determined pre-2022. And these are matters, historical cases that we inherited. The judgments that were entered total to 156,771,349 and 02.